good evening, good afternoon. It depends on where you are in the world. Hi, everybody. How you guys doing? Welcome to season 1, episode 3 of our Let's Talk About It. So today we're going to talk about how do you know he or she is the one? So if you know any single person, I won't say single ladies because that would be very selfish, any single person that is wondering if he or she is the one that is either dating or just want to know what will be the signs if he or she came in and happened to be the one, join the conversation, invite them, let them know that we're about to have a very interesting and insightful conversation. So, let's talk about it is the concept where we have different people from different backgrounds talking about different subjects, mostly related to society and how that impact either our finances, our families, entrepreneurship, economy, all that together, but mainly focus on the human aspect of it and the consequences and everything else. So without further ado, as I'm introducing myself, I'm going to let my friends join the panel. So my name is Carlita, and I'm the founder of His Chosen Sheep with Nali.
Hey, everybody.
Introduce yourself, Nali.
Oh, I thought you were introducing yourself. I was waiting for you. Oh, my bad. Hi, everybody. This is Nally, co-founder of His Chosen Sheep. Happy to be here today. You already know. I missed last time, but I am excited to be here today to have a discussion. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to talk about today.
So joined by Dondis, our one and only, the Vibrant.
The Vibrant.
Get some extra energy in there today.
What's
going on? What's going on, everybody, man? We're about to have this good conversation about relationships and all of that goodness, man. Ready to jump in.
Yeah, it's going to be a good conversation today.
So far, you are the only married one here, as we are waiting for our other friends to join us.
Right.
So I think, we're just going to jump right in.
Right.
How did you know she was the one?
Oh.
But first of all, before we even get that, isn't that a question that I think married people hate?
Yeah,
people be like,
it's an interesting question, man, because
that's a nice way to say it.
You think you think that it's gonna happen, and you're looking, but when you look, you just look crazy. Because you're out there and you're just looking at people and you're making all these kind of you read into everything. A lot of times people will say stuff like, okay, women, they always overtalk things, overthink things and everything, every single men do that too. They just don't be saying it. You know what I'm saying?
You're dropping gems already. Hold on, let me get my notebook.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
He's already dropping the stuff.
They just don't say it that. We'll be thinking about it, and sometimes what happens in our head is we'll have ideas that are there that we aren't even really paying attention to until the person that we're talking to makes some move and we're like, why'd they do that? And then you start realizing all the assumptions that you had about the relationship, right? But when it comes to that point of noticing, the one, it just hits you, man. It just hits you.
That actually gave me a little bit of clarity, because there have been circumstances that I've been in that I'm like, we think 6 steps before. So, we're already processing. And it's always dawned on me that I'm like, have they not been thinking that?
No,
and then the realization hits them at one point, and then all of a sudden, the light bulb goes on. But then I'm like, I gotta give people benefit of the doubt, because I don't think that's really the scenario. But it sounds like you're saying that is the scenario.
Yeah,
actually,
look, either it hits you or you have an agenda, you're out hunting. You know what I'm saying? So if you're out hunting, you're not. To me, when you're out hunting, you're not really gonna get that organic. This is it. Now, what I will say though.
That's good to know.
What I will say though is I don't think there's only one person for anybody.
That's interesting.
That's a very interesting perspective.
That is interesting.
And I know, because coming from the Christian side, and you think, God's got the one, and then y'all are wherever you are in the cosmos, and God's just like slowly bringing you together. And I don't think it works like that. I think from a Christian perspective, it's more of a partnership. I think God is like, well, what you trying to do, bro? Or sis, what you trying to do?
I believe that.
And as you naturally grow, I think you grow into the person, because I can think of 4 or 5 different people that I've had in my life over the course of time that it could have gone, marriage route if it would have, if the relationship would have lasted long enough. So yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree with that, because even in Christian or not Christian, I mean, I think that there are scenarios that people go through, if there's a loss, if something happens, or even divorce, even if there's not a loss, you know what I mean? That ultimately, does that mean that like you're now resounded to be by yourself for the rest of your life? No.
Yeah, no.
So that's such a good point. That is definitely a good point.
Yeah.
Interesting. But like coming back to my question that you hit though, that I see that you're trying not to answer.
He's trying to go circumvent.
Go back to my question.
Oh yeah, she's just walked by. The way that I knew. Listen. Let me tell you, we had a very unromantic initiation of marriage conversation.
Please, because we need to break this lifetime cycle. Lifetime movie network.
Charming is coming on his white horse.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you. Listen, what happened was we were literally on the phone. We had been dating for a while. We were literally on the phone, and somebody, she said, man, these people keep asking me, when are we getting married, man? Do you get that question a lot? I was like, yeah, I have been getting people asking me that question a lot. And I said, I could see myself marrying you. And she said, I can see myself marrying you. I said, okay, but let's do it.
Oh, wow.
It was literally like that. So then, of course, I had one of my girlfriends was like, dude, that cannot be the story.
You can't. Yeah, that can't be.
Go and do something to make it nice. So, of course, I went through and I did a whole thing, like a nice romantic thing. But I already knew the answer, because we already had discussed it. So it wasn't even like that. And she didn't feel bad. She didn't feel like, wow, you better go do something. She would have been cool,
right?
Actually, if it was that. So it really did kind of like just slip, just kind of like appear,
So that's the realness of it, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think the hype is what people get so caught up in. And it becomes this like, there's too much emphasis put on it. But in a situation like that, it was real deal Holyfield. We're just, I kind of like you kind of like me. We could do it. But I mean, granted, I'm glad that you went through the process and did what you had to do, because
that
couldn't have been it.
That definitely could not have been the story.
Like, Nadi, would you like for that to be that way? I'm like, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, no, listen,
like for the conversation.
I'm the kind of person. I feel like I'm the kind of person that we would have to have a discussion. Like I probably would have said something like that. Like I could probably, not like I'm ordering chicken wings. You know what I mean? But I could feel like, it's a conversation to be had. But I mean, it wasn't like an awkward situation in which to introduce it, where it's like the white elephant in the room. Yeah. Because I think sometimes that's what it becomes like when you don't address it. And then, I mean, it's funny how other people were thinking, you guys should be. I mean, that was the instigator of the conversation. But I think that's interesting. I mean, I'm glad to hear, kind of a real, situation, because Hallmark be lying to you.
I'm telling you, listen, man, people will lose their mind. Like, this is the thing. In Korea, weddings are not nearly as much as they are here.
Really?
One, because the capitalism is not really functioning like that. They're not really on the business like that. They're like, they got these things called wedding halls where literally they run you through. It's like
Las Vegas,
the Las Vegas chapels, but on steroids. There's literally a dude in the corner, like, all right, they say in the vows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, get the next group ready. Blah blah blah. You in and you out.
B23 at window number 4.
Exactly. And with the what other thing with the airline? The airline folks got the little line, like, all right, groom 2.
Wow.
You know. I mean, people do it with church. Like, ours was nice. Ours was a nice church thing, and it was a whole thing. But it was like, yeah, you don't have to kill yourself and go into debt for the first 5 years of your marriage because of this wedding, you know? And we didn't feel that pressure. All of those things, that's society trying to tell you that and trying to make you feel like it's the way I look at the whole thing about love is, why are we letting people message to us what love is for us? Why are we letting somebody say it's got to be this one person and you've got to have this revelation that it comes like this, like the angels and the sky and the clouds, and if it doesn't happen that way, it's
cherubims.
And he's not the one.
Yeah, that's not how it always goes.
It's true. I mean, go ahead, Carlita.
That's interesting. Not to cut you, Nani, but like I think, like for those who have missed a conversation like 2 weeks ago on what love is, like that was like a precursor to this conversation, is that, you know, like love is not just a romantic thing. Love is work. Love is like, you know, respect, honor, and things. So I feel like sometimes you find all those things in some person, but still don't feel the attraction. So for me, the question today, I was like, how do you know if he or she is the one? And I think, like, just to answer very briefly, for me, I think it would be like, do we have the same vision? Are we trying to go in the same direction? Are we trying to accomplish the same thing? What is our, like, if we come together as a couple, you know, like, I don't know about you, but I have like a personal life mission, life statement, and a professional life statement, right? So like as a couple, we will have to write our life statement. Like, is it something that comes together without like any of us losing their own purpose as an individual and like just losing themselves in the relationship? I think for me, that would be the big question, rather than is he, 6'4" or whatever. I would appreciate that too, you know, for a 5'11" girl. I would say, but I'll say the most important thing is like, are we heading in the same direction? Are we heading in the direction that God has purpose for us? You know? How about you guys, Nali? For you, for example, on a singles person perspective, because I know Don is as a married man, but like
married guy perspective. I think for me, I kind of agree with your statement. I also think that I look at it as purpose partnerships. I mean, we've all gone through this concept of like, you know, you date because he's cute, you date because he's this, you date because he's that. But then you find that a lot of those things are fleeting. Okay? And then when there's no substance, all of that stuff means nothing. And I think with age, and you mature, you go through life, you start realizing the things that you thought once were the drivers for you in relationships aren't necessarily the drivers. So I think I tend to look for substance as well. I tend to look like, well, what, and I think most importantly for me is, what's your life affirmation? What are you doing with yourself? Like, let's not think about me, because if I'm, you know, as far as purpose partners, I'm kind of here to kind of help you run your race, and you're here to help me run my race. But if we need to be able to understand that we're gonna stumble, and we need to be able to have each other's backs. Now you could be cute, but if you're gonna have my back, your cuteness is not gonna help me. You know what I'm saying? And then when you get to a certain age, all of that goes away anyway. So if we don't have a foundation as far as we can build with each other, we can understand each other, we can emotionally connect and be, you know, have some type of understanding with each other, then, you know, I think it's a lot of, because I get that question all the time, like, oh, I don't understand why you're so, it's funny how people, I don't understand why you're single. You don't look like somebody that should be single. And I was like, that.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? I was like,
somebody that is single. What do you mean?
Somebody who is not single look like? I'm like, but you know, and I think it's because society has taught us that if you were looking a certain type of way or whatever it may be, there should be no reason for you. Like, well, maybe your standards are too high or maybe blah, 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 blah. But I feel like you need to look beyond that. You need to understand that this person needs to have substance. Now, I'm not telling ladies or men out there, don't have your little list of whatever, because God knows the desires of your heart. You know what I mean? You have to have some type of level of chemistry with each other. That's a given. But I feel like those shouldn't be what drives your decisions. And I completely agree with you, Carlita, where, I mean, I wasn't even part of that discussion 100%, but love is a choice. It's not something you kind of like fall into or like it mesmerizes you. Like they be telling you, like, you know, Hallmark be trying to make it seem that you just happen to be getting coffee and you both grab the same cup. And next thing you know, like, no, that's right. The magic and the dust is flying and all that. No, that's not what it is. It's, you kind of really need to know and be real with yourself first. And then be real with this other person. Like, are we compatible? That's why I was like, I don't hate Don Deez's the realness, the conversation that was had, because you need that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what was an interesting conversation that we had? So I think I saw Dula. Yeah, Dula was saying, she was saying she knew after a few months, she knew. And I think for my wife and I feel like it was very similar. Maybe a little more time than a few months, but we felt like we were ready. And so I called my dad and I was like, okay, brother, how long do I need to wait before doing it? Because I know people are always having to wait, or has it been long enough, or oh, you got married too quick. I was like, yeah, is that a real thing? It's again, it's other people's messaging coming into us and not us processing for ourselves. It's okay to use other people as kind of like a reference, but if your guide is what other people are saying, that's not the best. So I checked with somebody that I trusted, and I said, okay, this guy is a minister. He does all kinds of counseling. I'm his son, so hopefully he's going to give me the best advice for sure. And what is the proper amount of time to wait? And he didn't tell me a time. He said, I'm gonna shoot you this list of questions. Y'all have this discussion. Let me know what kind of happens with that discussion. And really based on that, y'all will kind of know if you're in the same spot, if you're there. So that is what we did. We didn't like spend a whole bunch of time waiting just for the sake of waiting, you know. We literally felt like, okay, let's talk it out. It was good. And with so much in life, we don't do that because we think all these messages, it has to be X, Y, and Z. And if you don't see that, you're afraid to be like, hey, where are we going with this? Are we, you know, I'm thinking of this. There's nothing wrong with doing any of that. You know, those limitations.
I think like you made a really good point that I want to go back to, you know, and maybe have you dig a little bit deeper. So you had said even prior to touching base with the minister, you personally yourself knew like, okay, I have feelings that this person may be the one. How do you put that into words? Because there are men out there and women out there that are kind of like, is this me or is this God or is this the enemy trying to trip me up? Like, or like, you know what I mean? And for everybody, it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same for everybody. But for you, what were the things that made you think like, yeah, this is something that I need to move to the next step about?
Ooh, it's tricky. It's tricky. It is tricky. Yeah. Because, and I want to keep this like discussion wise, so it's not just like my whole thing, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely.
In general, and when you start to get the feeling like, I'm really vibing with this person, like for real, like almost to the point where it's kind of like scaring you. Whoa. Like
that's good.
You know, I think, you know, we believe that the Holy Spirit is a real thing, and that part of that is having a sense of truth about your life and about your experience. You know, the scripture says the Spirit will guide you into all truth. It says all truth. It's not only religious truth. It's not only moral truth. It's about all aspects of your life, right? So if the scripture says the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, that would include relationships. That would include your human interactions with each other. And so when it comes to that, I don't simply think of it just as me thinking on myself. When I get the little twitch or fire or flame or whatever, I take a second and I'm like, yo, God, what was it? Was that it? Was that it right there? You know? And I think you get the confirmation, just like all other aspects of life. When you pray and you want a revelation, same thing happens in there. And it sounds sometimes like a kind of a cop-out thing, because people are like, the Holy Spirit, that's church. That's just church. And it's like, no, but you look for the way I was taught in school about the Holy Spirit is not that it's always this crazy ethereal, like some kind of mist that comes over. Like,
the music is coming
God
on.
is using the actual practical sense-making things in your life and lines them up so that you can process it in a way to get the message that's getting communicated to you. So for me, when I sit there and I'm thinking about like what I told my wife, I think I said this before when we were talking about love. I told her, I said, you should thank all my girlfriends because they prepared me to be ready for you.
Listen.
And here's how it goes, because what I did is I thought about those relationships and the things that were kind of like off track for me in those relationships. And I would think about my wife and I'd be like, I don't got that issue here. Let me go to the next one. I don't have that issue here.
The residue.
When I do that, I feel excited. I remember how I felt I don't feel that. Those are indicators, man.
That's good.
Those are little things that you can check off. So I think it's very much practical when it comes to these ideas. I think it's so much less of that, this warm butterfly feeling, actual practical life, because that's what you're going to be doing together. You're not going to be doing fantasy together. You're doing life together. You feel me?
You better say that.
That is so important. And I think one of the things that we often forget is the part where this is about building a whole life together forever, eventually, right? So I think for one of the questions, of course, like from a single perspective, like around the 40s, I'm not going to say any numbers, but like, like compared to like when I was younger, where you feel like it doesn't matter who the person is, you can literally build a whole life with the person. When you reach a certain point, there are two things. I would say the first one, which the one that you brought on, which is about like honoring your past relationship versus like when you are more like, I would say less mature, you tend to like put the guilt on, oh, this person did this is why it didn't work. No, what is your part of responsibility about that relationship not working?
Right.
Because if it didn't work, that person could have been the one. But why didn't work? Is it because you two were not prepared? You two were not mature enough? You two didn't forgive enough? Like, what is it that didn't work out? You know? When you get to the point where I am personally right now, I feel like you honor your past relationship for making you a better person.
Right.
And they helping you know what you want, what you don't want anymore, and helping you maybe make a better choice. So when you find that new person, you are not dragging some of the luggage that you have in you because you have taken the time to heal from some of the previous relationship trauma, which is one of the things that we talked about in the first conversation about like 40 and single, the fact that sometimes you are single because you went through a separation. And it's important to take that time off to kind of like, reflect on what is the next step to do. So I think for me today, my choices will be based on different aspects. Not that you cannot build a whole life with a person, but when you have taken the time to build yourself versus when you're building yourself like together with a person at the same time, I feel like it's different.
Yeah.
I feel like it's different.
I got a question for you guys. When we get it, when we're ready.
Oh, really?
Okay, let me ask you. Yeah, let's go. So, have you ever come close where you were like, what's up, Spice? What's up, Spice? I want to know, have you ever come close where you're like thinking, hey, this is getting there. And if you have, what stopped it for you?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I was engaged and almost married. Like literally, like I think the only person that I introduced to my dad officially, right?
Mm.
I think it was when you get to that point and then you realize that when something happened, the person didn't handle it the way you thought it was gonna happen. For me, it was like, okay, God, not that this was not the one, but like this was really not the one. And I feel like also the immaturity from both sides. We were both still like kind of like quite immature. So I think it's important to also acknowledge that, right? So sometimes it's just because we are either too afraid when you get to that point, or we are immature, or sometimes you don't have the right people around you to give you the right advice. So both of you just do whatever. So I think like the circle is also important. Not that you have to listen to people all the time, but having the right circle that you know people you can trust that want what's best for you. When it comes to like environment like that, where maybe there is a pressure of like, okay, I'm about to commit to this person for life, and explode, and it's just like, you know what? No, we're not doing this. When you have the right people around you, that can make a difference. That's my answer to your question.
That's good. That's good. I think for me, I came close to not actually being engaged, but I was not engaged, but came close to it. And it was definitely maturity level. It was definitely maturity level because I was like, that's a hard no. It's a hard no. And it was like, now that I think back on it, I was like, oh, I probably could have handled that a lot differently. But I think it was level of maturity. It was not really knowing your true self. I mentioned this earlier, like not knowing who I really was, what I really wanted. Did I just want the ideology of being married and like what that represented as far as what I knew in that season of life? It was a different perspective, a different lens. And, granted, I didn't go through with it. I'm thankful to my then self, like, yeah, that self, good job, because it probably wouldn't have been a great situation. But I think that maturity has a lot to do with it. I do agree with Carlita's element about your circle, but I think it also, it has to do with not only your own level of, maturity, but I think you have to be emotionally mature. You have to be emotionally intelligent to understand what areas am I not my best version? What areas am I still struggling with the stuff that's like, 10 years from now, I could care less if you say that because you're not going to evoke a response from me. You know what I mean? Like what are those things? And you have to be able to, there's a lot involved in marriage and understanding that you're spending a life with this person. There's compromise. There's all kinds of elements that you're going to need to embrace. And if you are still a little bit selfish, and there's nothing wrong with being selfish in a particular stage of your life, but just come to terms with that. Like know that that's where you are. And so if that's the case, and let me imagine having two selfish people and you're doing it, what do you think is going to happen? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
What gave you the bravery or the courage to be like, I'm going to cut this off?
Wow. Well, I mean, there were a lot of like red alert behaviors prior to this situation. And sometimes when you're just in something because it's like comforting, like this is comfortable for me. I like it. I don't want it to go beyond this, but it's just comfortable for me. But in my mind, I'm like, it ain't serious enough to move beyond that. And again, that speaks to the level of maturity in relationship when you are not on the same accord, because this other person was thinking here, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is cool. And it was easy for me to be like, no, I'm all set because I'm not looking at this the same way you're looking at it. But I think in hindsight, I was like, wow, that was really immature of me, not necessarily considering where this person was coming from. And easily saying no. Like rejection is a thing, okay? Rejection is a thing. And I think we have to be very careful in nowadays and how we reject people, because at one point in time, you used to be like, no, Buzz, I'm all set. Thank you. And now it's like, you gotta be considerate. You gotta be considerate of people. I think you have to be, because men may not talk about it, but I think rejection affects them.
Oh yeah.
Very deeply. I mean, we just externally show it, most women, I don't want to speak for everybody, but a lot of women that I know will, the rejection is evident. It'll just mold the way you do things going forward. But for men, it may not necessarily be as vocal, but it does affect the way in which they will approach the next person. So yeah, I was just like, I probably could have handled that a lot better. But for me, it was kind of, it wasn't like, oh, I don't think I'm ready. I'm a blah, blah. It was all about, well, you ain't the one for me, so no.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's hard.
I'm gonna let our Scott introduce himself.
Hey.
Yeah, what's up, brother?
Hey y'all.
Hey,
Y'all,
yo.
what's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Well, sorry, with the construction site, sometimes things drag to the last minute.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Worry.
Yeah, it's Friday, so I'm happy to be back. Hi everybody. Hi Don D.
What's up, brother?
Hi Nali. Hi Nali.
Hello.
Hi Carlita. Are y'all still in the country of the sun, or are you back in the cold land?
I'm back in the cold land. I'm trying to keep the vibes going strong.
Okay, I see you like shining right now. You shining right now. That's you shining. That's why I thought you were still in the sunny land. But anyway,
listen, I'm gonna hold on to this tan for as long as I can. Okay, stop playing.
Well, the topic is a great topic. He or she, the one, and I really think that it depends on the person, where the person, both parties are at in their life, and I think that sometimes people, I would say for our experience, for me personally, like Nali said, sometimes men will interpret rejection a certain way. So the next person that comes around, they will really be careful on how they approach a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what happened for me, for example. Like for me, actually the first relationship that I was in with, the person broke up with me, actually cheated on me, right? So as a result, I was like, man, I need to be very careful. With let's say the next person I ever get with, because I'm a very serious person, right? I'm like all in. There's no like halfway. You know what I'm saying? So I was very careful, and I was like, I ain't gonna get married for like another 10 years, because I need to make sure I get everything good for my side. And then when my wife came around, that was like 2 years later. I was just like, she was the person that challenged me. I was like, you know what? That was the kind of person I needed. And I just like, she has certain qualities that I know, like immaturity, for example, from both of our sides. I was like, man, we can deal with that. We can work with that with time. But there were certain qualities that I saw. I was like, you know what? This person is not gonna cheat on me because she has this quality. That's one check already that I didn't want it to happen again. In the back of my head. So it's like, that's one thing I was also looking in the next person subconsciously without even knowing. And now the criteria for the person, it depends on who you are or where you are in your life. For me, I just want somebody that was serious, because I'm a very serious person. And having a lot of things in common will also help the relationship. Okay. And I think from our experience, we started from a friendship type of relationship. And I think that's kind of like where I always recommend everybody. It's like, if you want to be with somebody, is this person your friend? Like, is this person a person that you can kind of just like be with, hang out with, joke around with, and just spend time without even thinking about like string attached or feelings? Like, is it a person that you feel comfortable staying around? And I feel like just the fact that we kind of started from the friendship perspective kind of was already good and solid, because then moving forward into like the exclusive side of the relationship, things was already like, I know you, you know me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So that's for my experience, and the advice that I give is like, is he or she the right one? I think it depends all on one. Is this person a person that you can just hang out with, have a good time being your friend, that you can talk about anything and everything? Second, eventually it will be based on let's say your past experience, right? So you're kind of gonna shape your relationship based on your past experience, but like, is this person mature enough to understand where you come from? And are you mature enough to understand where they come from too?
Mm.
And I think that's very important. And the last one would be, do you have like just like strong values together, like similar strong values? Because those values will basically kind of like guide you throughout the beginning stage of your relationship. And then when things kind of like go astray, then you kind of like always can go back to those values as a foundation. So that's kind of like the 3 points.
That's so interesting. Before you came in, Rachel was saying that she knew after a couple of days that you were the one she wanted to marry. How did you feel about that? If you don't trust me, I can just put it back on right here.
Oh boy!
In case you think I'm making it up. In case you think I'm making it up, here are the receipts.
Yeah, no, I actually need this. That's actually very funny because I knew exactly at the same time that she knew, I knew it too, because we were spending a lot of time together. It's a very funny story. We spent a lot of time together, and like I say, I came from a relationship that I was cheated on, and she came from a relationship to that she had a similar experience. So already we kind of understood that side of not wanting to hurt the other person. Exactly. At the same time that she knew, I knew it too. Nah, it's a crazy truck. That's trying to get
the trucker know. I was like, oh.
The lift. It's a repo. It's a repo truck. Nah, I'm just saying. So. Hey, the African Hooper, hi, bro. So yeah, it's like when we found out, it was like, okay, we've gone from this kind of like similar experience. So I don't want to hurt you. You don't want to hurt me. So I want to do unto you like I would like you to do unto me. That's already one value, that quote that we had in the back of our head, just like subconsciously, right? Mm-hmm. And then we were friends, and we were just friends, just want to spend time. Every minute we want to spend together. We were in class. Want to get out of class, we just want to be together. And then it's when she found out she had to transfer because she was a student athlete, and she had to transfer to another school to go play for that school. And that's when we found out that we actually developed a very strong friendship to the point where we didn't want to be away from each other. And that's why when we say we knew because we were spending time together in like, the most unfashioned way, like, I see you in your worst way, your worst times. You see me in my worst time. So what else? You know what I'm saying? And just having compassion for each other without being mature, without being too, like wise in experience. Just having compassion for each other was very important for us too. So we knew from the beginning.
Yeah,
that's great.
3 months into it.
So before we move forward, we had like Vasco. I don't know if he's still here. When he jumped in, he asked a question about like what is your advice if a person feel like he's losing himself, to
in a relationship?
Yeah. So I'm not. I think I'm not in a relationship right now, so I might not be the best. So I would say maybe like, especially from a male perspective, because he's a male asking the question, do you guys like can give him any advice when it comes to like, what do you do when you feel like you're losing yourself to a relationship?
Gandhi, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You go, bro. You go, bro.
I have an answer, but this was not geared towards me.
You still answer later.
Nali's like, I know this question way too well.
Way too. I know this way, but I'm gonna let the males go. Go ahead.
All right, good. So, man, that's a good question, because the thing is that you actually, how do you find out as a brother that you are losing yourself in a relationship? That's the question I'm gonna ask the person. what makes you feel like you're losing yourself in a relationship?
I think it would be
Because, I mean,
interesting for those people to join, actually, so we can have the.
I think someone asked for the link, actually.
Oh.
So another person asked for the link, but that is a good question.
So, because the thing is, like, losing yourself, like, is it because of the person that you think you are, or is that the person that you are discovering you are becoming through this person? You know,
that's good.
Yeah, it's like
I totally agree.
Relationships and experiences shape, like, mold us and bring the best out of us. And most of the time, relationship and experiences actually make us discover a side of ourselves that we never knew existed. And sometimes those people will wake up some triggers, right? We talk about triggers. I heard you guys now talking about triggers a little bit. If you haven't healed, and then a person walks into your life, a woman or a man walks into your life, and because they are very close proximity to your heart,
sir,
they're gonna start awakening some triggers that you were not aware of. You know, and those triggers sometimes.
It is so true. We don't even realize it, but it is so true.
Facts. That's how you know you ain't healed.
Remind us of people of situations we've been into.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I heard Nali say, that's why you need to heal. But Nali, sometimes you like, most of the time in life, you choose to undergo the healing process when you see that the healing process is worth going through. So most of the time, what's going to happen is that people will go through the healing, will put themselves through the fire, because the healing process is a fire. It's a fire, right? You got to face yourself. You got to face the person that's hidden deep inside of you, that deep inside your emotion that you didn't know existed, and you got to go dig deeper. It's a fire. And most of the time, people are like, man, I don't want to go through this fire.
I want to do all that. I'm not ready for the mirror. I ain't ready for the mirror.
Exactly. So is this person worth going through the fire? And most of the time, when a person sees himself like, okay, I'm losing myself to this person, but is this person worth me going through the fire? Then if you're not willing to go through that fire, then it means that person is worth it to you, as you think they are. So yeah, there's a lot in relationship, and especially exclusive, close relationship, that would be marriage. Oh boy, it's a work. And are you seeing yourself losing yourself? Maybe you're discovering who you are.
Yeah, I didn't even think. That's the whole.
Do you want to answer after this? This was
like, maybe not. You pulling back the layers.
Coming. Just that's deep.
The only thing that I would add to that is, people get caught up on this thing of unequally yoked as being like totally stuck on your faith religious thing. That's probably the least of it. When you get into a relationship and you find out, I am not who I feel like I should be, that's the flag. That's the first flag for you. Do you even want to continue going? Because if you get to the point where you feel like, you are just sacrificing, and it's not give and take, it's just give and give, then you need to follow Jordan Peele's movie and get out. Okay? You need to get out, because you are exactly like maybe what you do, like we were talking about before, past relationships sort of show you yourself, improve yourself. Maybe that relationship is doing exactly what Life Jog Spice is talking about. It's helping you discover who you are, as opposed to suppressing who you are. It may be something that you didn't even know existed in you. It may have been like a dormant thing, and now it's being awakened because there's been some stimulus that's touched it. And I think you should. I always like to try to tell people, you will tell you what you need.
That's good.
Nobody Nobody can tell you. They can give you information for reference, but you will tell you what you need. So you should never, ever, ever ignore yourself. It's never going to be a bad thing to ignore yourself or to listen to yourself.
That is so good. So I hope we answered your question, Vasco. And
is that the African hooper?
Yeah, our friend, the African hooper is Junior.
Yeah.
Oh, man, bro, that picture looks nice, man. Goodness.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
He's the most. Thank you. Welcome.
Junior, can you introduce yourself? Let us know where you're joining us from.
Oh yeah. My name is actually my name is Junior. I'm living in France. What else? I found the channel like 2 weeks ago, and I just fell in love with the channel. I love the topic. I love everybody here. You know.
Cool.
Yeah, we love you too, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Love back to you, bro. Love back to you.
Glad to have you.
So what do you have to say about the subject today? But he joined, actually, Junior joined us on the French Live last week. So I know he's in a relationship, so I'm just going to cut it.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it on. Can you see me?
She was the one.
Hello?
Yeah, we can see you now.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. Actually, I'm in a relationship. And to be honest, I felt like this relationship just helped me find myself. Yeah, it literally helped me find myself because one thing that
surprise, Spice.
Sorry.
We got a bunch of like lovey-dovey man here, man. Goodness gracious.
This is great.
I'm like, wow, in real life. What is going on?
Sorry.
Where are these people in real life?
I know, right? I am in a relationship and it's making me find myself. I discover flowers and woo, brother.
I'm not hating on the evolving. That's right.
Wow. Okay, Junior. So you're finding yourself like, what is it about this relationship that make you want to put yourself in a situation? Because finding yourself is very uncomfortable. Yeah. Like finding yourself is one of the most uncomfortable journeys that I've ever taken in my life, and I did it alone. So doing that with somebody by yourself that is watching you becoming, that is extremely hard. Like, what about this relationship gave you like that, that strength to go through that?
Yeah, I would say that I think it demands a lot of courage because, for example, I'm I'm African, and my girlfriend, she's African American, right? And when we met each other, it was really hard because I'm coming from a different culture, she's coming from a different culture, so we need to work hard to actually match, And for my side, it was the more challenging experience of my life because I took the decision to actually, ask a lot of questions about how I think, and a lot of ideas from my culture, because like, especially when you were born, when you grew up in a family where like you don't really have people who actually had a lot of success in like relationship, so it's not easy, and for me it was really challenging because first of all, she helped me to she actually, like, I don't know how to say it. It's almost spiritual, because sometimes I can just be sitting down and thinking about something, and she knew what, and she started telling me stuff, and I was like, man, are you in my head? Are you like, wow, this is crazy, And I never knew that you can get to this level,
We need to get this sister on the panel, man, because she needs to watch this video. For real.
Yeah.
Wow,
And I
very
actually,
prophetic.
yeah, I talked to her about actually the channel, and I was like, if you can come to the channel and talk about our experience, I think it's gonna be great, because like my English is not that great, but because you're American, so I think a lot of people gonna start. I mean, you can help a lot of people, because she's her mother is a prophet, and I think she's a prophet too. I think she's a prophet too, and like I say, it's just crazy. And to be honest, the live jog, when I when I see you talking, when I see you the first time I see you talking, I don't know, but I just felt like you get to this deep understanding of love. I don't know how to explain it to you, but I just feel like like you, that's why I really appreciate you so much, brother, because like
I
when you talk
appreciate
to
you,
me,
man.
yeah, when you talk, I was like, man, this guy is just he's just great. He's great,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
But
Like Kevin Hart say, I say it with my chest. I speak from my heart, because
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, and bro, I really appreciate you because it's brothers like you that really get me to keep sharing, because I believe that what we share here, all it does is just sharing experience, and at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's gonna be the sum of experiences that are gonna make you make the best decision for yourself,
yeah,
and that's why we do here as his chosen sheep.
yeah,
Even as a group together, like we all have our different channels, but I feel like one of the things for this channel, bringing everybody together, was really to get this different perspective. And I think it's like it makes this talk what it is versus like each of us just doing whatever, like having different like perspective and kind of like sharing our different experience, like enlighten each of us on, wow, I didn't thought about this point. I really did not think about this point. So for me, like I know there is a part of like we talk about like, oh, you have to be ready to meet the one, but I also believe that there is a part of you that you only discover once you are with the one. You can do all the self-development, all the evolving, all that, but you will reach a point where there will come a part where you need to be confronted daily, in friction with somebody,
Confronted.
to meet like the you that you didn't know was down there.
Spicy Jenaba is here. So today I feel like Jenaba is gonna be the spicy one today. I just predicted.
I think you are right, because basically, you're not really on the same line when you're talking about like the right one for you. I know.
Ooh, this is interesting. She's in.
Let's go.
JK is swinging.
But I missed the first part, so I won't be able to it's going to be further along that I can be challenging him. But I know that I had a different point of view what was about being a couple and being in a relationship. So it's very different from, because basically when we talked about it, when we were talking about what was love about, I've explained that for me, there can't be a merger. You can't merge two people and be one. For me, you have to be two different people on a standalone basis and build something additional. But you still have to be yourself. So, and that's very important for me. And that's the basis of my relationship. And for me, choosing the right one, when we're going back to the discussion, I think, is about finding the one that was able to let me be me. That was very, very important. I wanted someone to take me exactly the way I am, because I want to be myself and do me. And
Whoa. Good.
And
I wanted him.
So, Jennifer, before you continue,
Tell me.
We had this question earlier.
Yes.
Because you're not here. What would be your advice for this person?
Tell me.
Sometimes I feel like I'm losing myself to the relationship. What is your advice?
First of all, before leaving, you have to talk to the person and tell him how you feel.
How you feel.
Losing, losing.
She went straight to
No,
leaving.
no, I say her or him.
No, losing,
Okay.
losing.
Yeah, I know she was losing to herself. However, in the first place, I would suggest to talk to that person and tell her how she or her or he feels, because basically, communication is the key. First, you talk, and then if that person doesn't get what you're telling, then you have to move on. That's my point of view. You tell the person, I am losing myself. I want to be in a relationship. However, I'm feeling that I'm not who I'm supposed to be with you, and that you are trying to transform me, and I'm not happy with it. So we can work on a way where you are happy and I am happy. And if that person doesn't want it, then you have to leave.
I can already see this going like on fire right now. So Jada, but before you came in, there were a few conversations about like maybe the person is helping you discover the you that you are supposed to become.
No, no chance.
Shoot, shut that down real quick.
No chance.
Okay. So Dondis and Louis.
Good.
Louis,
So,
go ahead.
So think about it. That's the point I made because when you say I want to be me and do me, I would say is that maybe Jenaba knows herself because she's confident. She knows herself. She already studied. She has that emotional intelligence on point. She knows that. She knows like, yo, I'm the deal. I'm the price. Like you are just with me, and you are with me. It's a privilege to you.
Oh
period.
no, that's not the point.
But that's the thing, though. There's some people. That's the reality. There's some people that don't discover themselves until they are put through the kernel, like some relationship. And I think what ends up happening is that some relationships would do that. They would challenge, especially exclusive relationship like marriage or engagement, like a relationship that you have with your partner, will put you in a position where you will basically kind of start like discovering sides of you that were dormant. You might think you know Jenaba, but when you are with this person, that person is gonna make you awake the child, the 3-year-old that you never tapped into, the 4-year-old that you never tapped into, the 5-year-old that went through something.
Maybe that's the man thing.
No, it's actually that's.
So wait,
something that occurs. It's something that occurs a lot. It's something that occurs a lot. Huh?
Well, I have a question for Jenaba. Jenaba, what you're trying to tell us is like, since you've been with your husband, you have not changed. You have not become a different person.
I'm not sure I have changed at all.
Oh,
no.
I thought she came with a fire.
No, because when I dated someone, and at some point he said like, and he told me I should have married you, and I said no. If I would married you, we would have been in a divorce pretty early. And said no, you will have accommodated. And I said I didn't want to accommodate. I wanted someone that will take me, and we will build together and be together the way and being ourselves. I didn't want to change for someone. And so I think it was very, very important to find someone that will meet that was a criteria for me. Maybe also it's something different, but for me, having someone that was going to take me the way I was very, very, it was a key criteria. Very.
So are you associating like change with like transformation? Because
that's
change
exactly what I was going to say. Change and evolving is two different things. So
yeah,
I have evolved. Because
basically
it's very different because when you are in love, you do some stuff not because and that's a different also. You do some stuff because you love the person. You don't have to be pushed into doing it, and that makes a whole difference. So there are some tiny stuff that I shouldn't have thought about earlier and on doing that way, but I do it differently. because I know that it bothers him, and I don't want to hurt him either. So yeah, some tiny bits. It's evolution. It's not like changing major changes on me, because it doesn't affect me really. What I
Okay.
don't like is someone changing the way you think. Like and
Maybe
I don't think
maybe the
it's
person is not changing, because the thing is that in relationships sometimes also people will create barriers, mental barriers, in their own way of in their own behavior. Again,
Mhm.
they might create barriers based on their previous relationship. They might create barrier based on the triggers of the past experience that was dormant in the back of their head. So that person will basically kind of awaken this person that you didn't know. So I would say, there is a room for improvement in relationship. There is a room, because
there is still a room
and
for improvement in any relationship anyway.
Yeah.
Like a
yeah,
friendship is improving you the way also a marital relationship will improve you. So it's still improving. The thing is, like, I differentiate evolving and improving to change.
Yeah.
So it's different. And that's very a cool thing. Like, for me, you can't be someone, even though I think it's something that is really good, but someone who doesn't believe in God, and he finds someone who believes in God deeply. I don't want the person to be with someone and then move to faith, because I don't think it's something that should trigger it. I will expect that person to meet religion and then be together and grow together, because I think in my way of thinking, whenever that person then leave, whenever they split, the risk is that they're gonna be starting. He's gonna go back to what he knew. That's what I'm afraid of. So it has to be something really strong that he believes in, and it has nothing to do with the relationship. That's why the way I'm thinking. It's just my way of thinking. I'm really scared whenever there is a change that is just triggered by a relationship. That's the way I think.
Can
Yeah.
I? I'll ask this, like, so if you're looking for the one, should one of those qualities be that they are a person who can bring things out of you? Like, if they don't make you better in some way, not necessarily changing you, but they evoke
They
something in
challenge
you
you.
that makes you new and revived or different in some way, or if they awaken things in you. Because if I feel like if I would have got with somebody and I feel like they don't stimulate me at all, they don't motivate me at all, then they're going off the list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they have to stimulate you, which is good, because as I was saying last time, like, marriage is like a task force. So on a daily basis, you have to work on it and together. So I really agree on that, and the fact that you have to have, and for me, it's not only about it's about having someone you trust, because whenever you trust someone and that person trusts you, if you are like don't you are feeling down, or if you are feeling shy into doing something, that person should be able to tell you you can do it and help you achieve some stuff. That's the point for me. But that's not about changing me. It's more about improving or pushing me into stuff I already wanted to do but was scared of doing. That's more something like that.
Okay,
nah,
so
that
I think we're kind of saying the same thing, but like just with different words. So I think what Jenaba is referring to is somebody that is changing your whole nature, like who
Yes.
you are to the core. And what we're talking about is more like somebody that will challenge you to evolve, like basically somebody that will push you to become the version of you that he knows or she knows that you already are.
That's where it's tricky, because is that the that's where it's really tricky, because the person who tells you I know who you should be, I'm also I know you better
Maybe
than
that's
you, who it's very complicated.
I think it's. I think I'm going from the supposition that you already have done the work of healing from some traumas, and you kind of already know who you are and who you are not, right? Versus somebody who doesn't know who they are and that just like influenced by everything and anyone. So when you are in relationship with this person, you become this person. When you are in relationship with this person, you become that person. I'm not talking about kind of cases. I'm talking about a case where you've already done the work and you kind of know what you want and what you don't not want. What are your core values? What you can kind of like, waver on, and what is like a direct no. So this is what we were talking about at the beginning. Like the choices that I will make today would definitely not be the choices I will make when I was 16 or 18, right? Because I've done the work. So coming today, I'll agree with Jenaba that if my destiny or my purpose does not align with what you are offering me, I'm not going to change it to fit you.
Never.
If we come along and we feel like each of us being who we are fully, growing and being challenged by each other, we are still like, manifesting our individual purpose and the purpose that we have together, the vision that we have as a couple together, then yes, I will do the work. But like having to change just to change because that's who you expect me to become, and that's not like my destiny or what I have in me, that's a no.
Absolutely.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah?
We can hear you.
Good.
Okay.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, Geneva, I agree with what you say. And but for example, in my case, it was a little bit different. Okay. Why I say this because for example, me, I took the decision to change.
You took the decision.
I took it. I could be the same person, but I took it. Why? Because I knew that if I follow this woman, I'm gonna be a better version of myself.
So this person sparked the change or the decision for you to
Exactly. Yeah.
change.
Exactly.
But did
Yeah.
she? But as you said, she didn't request anything. You made the decision by your own, on your
Yeah.
own. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point.
Yeah.
This has to come from you. The person should not be telling you who you should be and how you should be doing. That's the
No,
whole deep point.
no, she did not. She didn't. She didn't tell me that. She just tell me. She told me that I can see what type of man you can become.
Boy, that's powerful.
This is what she told me. She
Hey,
said,
women are powerful,
"You
man. They
are
make
a great man,
think
but yeah, that's just crazy." She said,
She's a
"Well,
keeper.
yeah." She said, "You are a great man, but when I'm talking to you, I'm not. I'm looking into your soul. I'm looking into your
hey,
spirit. I'm not." And I, yeah, this is what she told me. She said, "I'm very spiritual. You may not understand it, but if you decide to make the decision, because I know it's not going to be easy for you, but if you decide to do it, I'm willing to help you."
mm,
You know, and I took that decision, and I don't regret it because today I understand myself more than ever.
mm.
And I'm aligned with my values, and I'm really happy. I'm very happy. And I feel like um, this is my opinion. I feel like to find someone who is completely built, it's very hard because we come from different families with different education and different backgrounds, right?
You have to be
So,
old.
yeah, I mean,
When you meet that
Yes.
person very old, it makes a whole difference.
yeah,
I
really,
was gonna say, Junior is like, when you meet somebody completely done, I'm like, Nali, maybe we should question ourselves.
But
Is that
because you
the reason why we're still single?
and because maybe also it's something that is different, because when I think about you, Junior, and also about Louise, they met their plus one when they were very young.
Yes, that makes a whole difference.
And I think it does make a whole difference. Because the person you are when you are 20 is so much different from the person you are when you are 39 and 40 and 35, and it's so different. In a 10-year time, you're going to be a different person.
Absolutely.
So
That's why for me, I knew that I wasn't going to go to the 20s as I added the lockdown right now.
You see, that is the difference though, because the thing is like, let's say, when we had the first show, we talked about like when you become single after like, you've been together for like 20, 30 years. Like I'm looking around me and a lot of my friends are single now. They married very young and they are single now. So I'm sure the choices that they will make today is different from the choices that they made before.
Much different. Well, we talked about that earlier too. When I think the initial discussion with Don Dees was, we're not the person that we were at the time of like set engagements. You've lived, you've experienced life, you've evolved, and you'd make different decisions now. In hindsight, definitely, you're not going to be the same person.
Absolutely.
So, and that's why also I will say that, for example, if you talk about the guy that was talking earlier,
Willie shooting his shot. Willie is shooting his shot.
Willie,
You can join the conversation. Really,
come in here and drop your 2 cents.
We got a shooter here. Willie, nobody's scared here, man. We got a shooter here. Come on, bro.
Come on, yes. So yeah, for me, when I was 20, I was like, I think I was I was manageable. And when I was in a relationship, I was trying to fit in. And
like Clay, you being molded.
Yeah. He wants a woman like that, I'll go like that. He wants a woman like that, and I'll be like that. And then the further it goes, and the more I change, and I was like, oh, I'm this way. I'm doing my way. So
it became Burger King. I got in my way real quick.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the whole point. That's the whole point. So you're young. You were lucky to meet your plus one pretty easy.
Right.
So keep that person. So, but for the main choices, for a woman, I think it's also slightly different from what you guys are expecting in from a relationship. So I don't know what you guys think, but I think we're not looking for exactly the same thing. We more
that Willie will come and share his perspective as a single male, because we've just been the only single female here, and that he's not taken down and come and share, right? Because we need perspective. But like you said, I think like male and female perspectives are not the same.
Yeah.
But like just quickly, Nadi, like today, what would you expect from D1?
Wow, what would I expect? I mean, I think so much. I don't really like to use the word expectations, because sometimes you're making it seem like you have to deliver this, and if you don't deliver, there's like an ultimatum. I think I would want this person to be someone who has lived, you know what I mean? Who has had some, wisdom underneath their belt, who knows what life is as far as obstacles and challenges, and has been able to overcome particular things in life. Because, in a marriage, there's going to be moments where it's like, it's not cute. And you're going to have to know how to deal with challenges. And there's, family, there's a whole bunch of plethora of things that can happen in life, but you have to learn how to make wise decisions, be wise counsel, and then also be a leader. I think that for me is a very important thing. If you're not someone that's assertive in choices, and not, when I say assertive, doesn't mean like this is what I'm going to do and you're going to follow along with it, but someone that's assertive and like, I think this is the best thing, and let's talk about it. Let's make these types of choices, and let's do these things together that we can both benefit from. I can go on, but I'm not going to. But I think those are some of the things that I look for now, rather than material items, or as we were talking about before, what people look like, or what they sound like, or things like that. Things that 15 years from now, they're still going to be as important now then as it is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
being said, though, it feels good. Well,
hello. Wait a minute. Icing on the cake got to be the icing on the cake. But let's not get it messed up. But it's the icing cake looks great icing looks great, but sometimes that batter is not the best. So you got to just know exactly what you're getting behind the icing. Well, let's not get it twisted with the icing.
Yeah. So Jainaba, how did you know your husband was the one?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a tough one.
You
Today
let her
is our
feel who she
10th.
is.
Today is our 10th marriage anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary!
So yeah, we had our religious anniversary in Senegal, and it was 10 years ago. So
Amazing.
yeah. So my husband and I met in in very weird circumstances because we were working together, and but not really together because he was like a consultant in my company. So someone introduced us together introduced us, and then we went for a couple of coffees and teas and blah blah blah. But then he invited me for a dinner, but I was like a very, very busy single lady. So I told him I have no room in my agenda within 3 weeks. So sorry, I cannot make it. And he didn't say anything. And then I had like something that was canceled. So I called him up and we had this dinner. And after the dinner, I emailed a long text to my sister and I told her, this guy is amazing, but I'm so happy with my single life that I'm not sure I want to date him. But he's special. Just right after the dinner. It was just the perfect dinner. And we had very long conversation before having this dinner. So, but I just knew it. It was very bizarre because he was straight. I could trust him. He was like down to earth, very down to earth. And because I was like, you know what I mean, but I'm a Black girl. I was working in finance. I was very self-confident. I like being dressed up. And, in the finance business, I was like almost the only Black girl around. So whenever there was a Black guy who was trying to hit up on me and I didn't like it. So I was like, he's another one that is weird. But he was so down to earth and very respectful. And that's why I knew he was the one. And he tried because some of them were scared.
That's so interesting.
And I was impressed.
They gotta be scared when you say that. I want to be myself. They want a submissive wife. You say I want to be myself. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I wanted someone that was strong and that was really proud of himself. I didn't want to be like someone who will take me like so I didn't want someone insecure who would just take me as like like we say it, a trophy. Yes, I hated that, and that was so different, and that's what I love about him.
I saw like though. I think like when you are a working woman, it's very impressive to some male, especially when you know what you want. So I think the fact when you say he tried, impressive.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think when you say he tried compared to others who might wanted to but was afraid, I think that's because for me, I'm like, if you are impressed by my character of who I am, like, and if I feel like I can dominate you, that's an immediate like no.
Yeah, I know. And before dating my husband, also, I was like, and that was very funny because I was like really into very handsome like model guys at some point.
Boys.
Like the model guys.
I knew it.
And then that was funny, the fact that he tried, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do that too. That was so funny because he's handsome but not like the model type. So but he had more than that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. So the thing that can last, as you say, not the model thing, because you had a model and like he cheats and all he does also like some random stuff, and at least I had someone I can trust and who was here for me and who I can talk to. and who can elevate me. That's the word.
Yeah. The talking part, I think, is so important. And I think people overlook that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, because it's such a thing, like it's something that people just, it wasn't that big of a deal. But like, if you can't make conversation, you're gonna run out of things to talk about in like 5 minutes, and then what are you gonna do after that?
I know. And the thing is also, like, with my husband, he makes me laugh all the time.
Yeah, that's
even
good.
today.
Yeah.
Every time he finds something like, oh, yeah, you look like this. And he makes funny jokes about me, about the way I look, about what I wear, about what I eat, like about this, when I'm doing this. He's like, oh, you and your thing, you're going to change the word with all your things you're doing. You think, and so that's so funny. That's not being really mean, but it's the way he does. Yeah.
Friendship.
It's a proper friendship.
I was going to say, that's
a proper friendship.
That we was talking about earlier.
Yeah. It has to be a friendship. And because basically, if you're just looking for someone who is handsome and like sex things, it won't last.
My wife is roasting me, so don't worry about it. My wife is the one that roasts. I joke around, but she's the one that roasts me the most in this house.
I know. I do the same with my husband, and he does the same with me every single day. So, and that's what makes our relationship very nice, because, and we try to go before COVID every month in a nice restaurant just to have a talk and chat together. And when you're going to a restaurant and you don't have something to talk about, what's the point about being with someone?
So you're talking about going to a restaurant when you are in the same house with somebody and you guys don't have anything to talk about. Like, what do you guys do?
I don't know. We always have something to
I
talk about.
It's a rhetorical question. What do you do? I said, I don't know.
We always have things. I don't know about Don this, how he thinks about it, but I always have something to tell him when I come from work. Whatever happens in my life, he's the first one I will talk to. Whatever happens.
I was just going to say, because I was listening to this podcast yesterday that was talking about people who have been married, couples who have been quarantined for months. And at this point, like, it's just hitting the fan. Like, they either don't have anything else to talk about.
There's a lot of divorce happening around me. A lot of divorce in the construction industry.
Yeah.
People cannot take it. Like, they can't take it. Like, legit, I'm telling you, there is a lot of people just like divorcing my job site because they can't.
What does that say? What does that say? Because
exactly.
If you think about it, it's like, what was there? It's very similar to, like, for example, I don't know if you've ever had a friend who has either some kind of belief, like maybe they were Christian and they're like, you know what, I don't believe in God anymore, but they're whatever. The first thing that pops up in my mind is, did you ever believe in the first place? Have that?
You brand yourself.
You're too kind. How about the ones who divorced because they figured out that their husband was from, more attracted by the opposite sex?
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Well, that, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's an outside influence.
Yeah, that's a whole.
That's way outside. That's
I was like, wait a minute, that's a whole
over on the other side. Because I mean, you really can't do nothing about that.
Yeah,
unless somebody but here would be the challenge of that. If somebody went through that, I feel this is the one, and God led me to them, and then something like that happens. And that's an interesting.
That's rough.
Situation.
That's an interesting conversation to have with God. Like, God, why you did not reveal this to me earlier?
Yeah, what were you hiding back?
But did I reveal him to you, or was you actually listening?
That's right.
Yeah, there we go.
Guys, Dominique is here. Dominique.
Hey, Lady D.
Hey. This is interesting, guys. I've thought about this. What if you think you heard, and then when you're in the thick of it, you realize, what did I hear? And clearly I didn't hear. Or did you hear So
What you want to hear?
I've sat with this for a long time, and I've come up with an idea. And this is just my theory. I haven't scientifically put it through the test, but I think sometimes you find yourself in a situation and you're a casualty of purpose. And so, like casualties of war, they have to go fight, right? And then sometimes it ends in death, but they had to fight, right? And it was part of the plan, and it's just a casualty of the end result. So sometimes I look at my situation and I find when how it's unfolded, and I'm like, you know what? Perhaps this was a casualty of purpose, because I'm able to write about it. There's been so many positive things that have come out of it. Literally, Romans 8:28. So if Romans 8:28 is true, then some things are purposeful, and God is going to turn around for your good. So it's a tough. It's an interesting concept. I came up with this idea of casualty of purpose.
Oh, that's amazing. But just for those who don't know, Dominique, you are divorced, right?
Yeah.
For how long of being married?
About 8 years now. 8 years now.
And how long have you been in marriage?
Oh, our marriage lasted about 3 years, maybe 3.5 years. Yeah, it didn't last long at all. But I mean, I had a way of escape. I knew that. God gave me a way of escape. And there was a time where I had called the wedding off. And then I allowed outside influences to say, oh, that's the devil. And the devil's trying to keep you guys apart. When I look in hindsight, it was the Lord revealing to me this wasn't it. No.
So you had signs. You had a red flag. So you almost canceled it.
Red flag.
She said she had a mega horn. Okay.
I had all the flags, every color of the rainbow.
We were talking about earlier before you came in. We were talking about how when sometimes like it's supposed to be, and you have like bad influence that don't cancel you out and everything cancel, but like this is the opposite case where it was not supposed to be. And the pressure from outside made it happen, and it didn't last.
See, okay. So there's twofold to that, because I think that you could have counsel, and then you could have the wrong counsel, even in the form of clergy saying, yeah, I see God, right? This is why I think it's so important to be able to hear God for yourself. But then it all depends on where you are spiritually, your level of spiritual growth. So then there's that part, but then there's another part where it's like, you think you hear God, your counselor says, okay, this is God, we agree. And then you go ahead and do it. But then maybe in the marriage, like for me, sometimes I wonder, was I not patient enough? Could I not have waited him through his stuff? Because I feel like sometimes folks have to go through their stuff. And could I not have just, travailed in it and just waited him through? I wonder though, because I've heard stories of people that say, oh, our first 7 years were horrible. I didn't make it to 7. I was like, and 3. But some people say, look at us now, we're 30 years in. Was it easy? So I don't know, man, y'all.
Did you ever have a moment where you? Did you ever have a moment where you just on your own felt like, yeah, God, I see it. This is the person.
Before marriage? Before we got married?
Yeah, like when you were coming together and it was starting to become a relationship. Like before you talked to any clergy or family or whatever, did you feel that?
Okay, so for me, I was very inexperienced. I didn't date a lot. I was like a radical Christian. I was like doing crusades in college. I was like, had a whole purity movement. So that to me was like where there was I didn't have a balanced, victorious life in Christ, right? I was like radical. I was up here running. So when I went into meeting him and I was just like, okay, you like me. Oh, okay. You're saved. Oh, okay. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like this is my soulmate. I wasn't making those kinds of confessions. I wasn't like, I just knew that I was at a church where it was like, if you wanted to do ministry, you needed to be married. So I was in a church where it was like, get married, get married, get married. I heard that so much. And so then it started to make me feel like I was less than, even if I was winning in all the other areas of my life. But if I was not married, I was not winning. And so, you can imagine winning in all the areas of your life, but then in this area, like, okay, let me just check this box off and then wing it. Bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
In Senegal, there's a saying, and it says that whatever happened during marriage, it said hello during the courting phase.
Ooh.
That's excellent.
And you ignored it.
Oh,
That's what they says.
yeah.
They say. So, and my mom always says that. So you have to be very careful onto all those red flags. If the guy, and that's where we come back to what was really essential into your life. And if the guy is just like that, if he does something, and then afterwards he comes back and say, yeah, I was just doing it. I didn't do it on purpose. I'm sorry. And it's just doesn't fit with whatever your main core criteria and way of life. Just leave it. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I have one of my friends. She was dating a guy, and the guy was so jealous, very, very difficult. And all of a sudden, she calls me and she said, I'm getting married. I was like, and they were on and off all the time. And she was like, I'm getting married. But she had almost like the pressure because she was back into Senegal and she was back to living with her mom. And she wanted to leave the house. And most of her friends were getting married. And in Senegal, when you are a woman, you don't leave the house unless you're married. So she was living in France, and then she moved back to Senegal, and she had to go back into her mom's house. You see? So she dated that guy, and he was so difficult. And all of a sudden, the guy went also to get married, and so he completely switched. So he was so nice to her, very kind, no pushy. And she was like, oh, that's the one. And I was like, no, but he has shown you that it was not the one. But because I was single, I was not able to really, I didn't want her to feel like I was jealous of her. So I just said it, and I just left it like that. And she got married, and the marriage lasted 3 months.
Wow.
Because the guy, after they got married, he started calling her at her workplace and you're not answering your phone. He was calling 10 times a day. And then whenever she was trying to have a discussion with her, he was like, a woman doesn't talk to me. You just should be doing what I say. And that was a nightmare. And she got married in 3 months. She got the divorce within 3 months.
Can you see my face right now?
Yeah, I can see your face. So, and I was like,
What?
yeah, you see. But the thing is the guy, he went from horrible to very nice.
Back to horrible.
Back to horrible. Because that's what he was horrible in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he was doing some stuff. He was so, when we were together as friends, just having dinner or lunch, he was so jealous. He was always over her. And I was like, that's not the kind of guy you want to get married to. You're someone who likes being with her friends and going out and having dinner and having friends, girlfriends, not even boyfriends, just girlfriends. So being casual with your friends, and he hated all those things. So I was like, no, it can't fit. And she was like, no, he has changed, no. And that was wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes we should be maybe focusing on those signals that we get.
100%. Because that chameleon shows up, and that chameleon can't last forever, right? The switcheroo. I mean, I knew on my honeymoon night, I remembered laying there saying, okay, God, how am I going to get out of this one? I remember clear as day. I remember clear as day saying, all right, because even in the honeymoon, it was just like misery. It was just like, I don't like the sun. And we're in this beautiful St. Lucia. I don't like the sun. I don't want to go outside. I just want to watch movies. It was just, I was just miserable. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see about this one.
Yeah.
You know?
Just to come back to what Jennifer said, is like the wise woman said, like, if somebody show you who they are, believe them. Like, don't make assumption. If you are looking for the one and he's clearly showing you that he's not the one, stop, making these movies in your head about him changing to become something that he's not. That's the part where we talk about transformation and all those things. But I also think that it's important to also just watch, being able to be observant, and just watch. Take time to observe the person, because whatever they're trying to be, if they really are not that person, or that, it will come out. It will show up. Like, give it some time. Don't rush anything. Give yourself time to learn to the person. I'm just now seeing the message from our Spice, Louis. He had to leave, but hey, Louis, we know that you are watching us. So,
okay. I had also something to add on what Dominique said. She said also that people were telling her that it's difficult in the beginning. The marriage is difficult in the beginning. But for me, what I feel is that the early years in the marriage should be very sweet and nice, because you have no kids and nothing. It's just the two of you doing the two of you.
That's excellent.
When the kids appear, that's where the issue starts, normally. So
normally, that's a process.
Normally. For me, if there are any issue from the very beginning, there is something wrong.
So you think it should
Dandies, how was the choosing for you, Dandies? Did I miss it?
It was very non-romantic. It was like almost like a business deal. Not the feelings, just the initial way in which it happened. It was a full conversation, and I was like, "Yeah, I could marry you," and she said, "Yeah, I could marry you." She's
like, keeping it real. That's 100. Okay.
So
was this because you guys were determined, no lust, no flesh of the eyes, no, don't give the enemy any room?
No, I was real laid back. I was real chill. At that time, I wasn't a pastor. I wasn't even thinking of it. So I was just a dude. I was just a regular bro, and we were talking, and it just came up in the conversation. Now like I was telling him before, I had a wise friend who said that cannot be the story. So you better, go and do something to make it better. And we did. But it was, that story, someday I'll have to tell you guys that story, man. It was, it's funny, but it was more of a conversation. And what I liked about that, and what Nolly and I were kind of vibing on, that was there's this realism.
Yeah.
It kind of takes that sort of demystifies this idea that it must happen in this way. And if it happens like that, now it's like, no, there's actually a lot of different ways that this can happen. And I was telling him before, I was like, I feel like we're ready. And like Louis was saying, or Louis's wife was saying, they knew after a few months. I was similar to that. And I said, how long do I have to wait? Because is there a certain expected waiting time, or are we to the point where it is? I found out it's more about how much time you spend together versus how much time elapses. You know what I'm saying? So we spent a lot of time together, and we got to know each other very well within, a shorter amount of time, because we had more, I guess the quality of the time was much higher than what you do if you're kind of just sort of trying to fill things out, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to stop dating everybody else and focus on this one person, and now let me really try to get to know you, and then let me see if we could take it to the next level. We kind of did all of those things sort of, in a shorter amount of time. It's like, yeah, that's what I would say.
And how long did you take between the time you
what was the beginning to the end? What was that?
What Oh, from when we started till
dating until you
yeah.
got married?
So the whole time period was about 11 months.
Got the same. I beat you.
You did. What were you? What were you?
9 months.
9 months. Oh,
Look at him.
your love was burst. Your love
That's a
was burst.
pregnancy. That's a real pregnancy.
9
Yeah,
months.
there you go. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, and actually, when we
This
first
guy's
met,
Mm.
I had a girlfriend and she had a boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
Well, we literally, when we first, but what was good about that, or let me not say it was good, but what the advantage of that is, we didn't even have a mindset that we were trying to connect to each other like that. We literally were hanging out and just talking, and just discovered commonalities and ways of thinking that were complementary to each other, without any mindset of thinking about, connecting romantically at all.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
I think Vasco is back with a question, but I'll say this. How about we let him join us to give him the answer live?
Yeah.
I mean, what I want to know though, there's like,
so no answer yet till he comes live, but like doing that, like, do you guys feel like sometimes like you miss D1? Like when you look back to your relationship, like, do you feel like some people might have been the one? Nali was like, no, straight no.
No, because I have the one.
I think the idea of there being one person on this entire planet as your person, I don't believe that. I believe God created like a big landscape, and he's like, we're in a big, beautiful park, and he goes, hey, you want to get on the swings? Get on the swings. You want to get on the seesaw? You like the seesaw? Get on the seesaw. You want to get on the roller coaster? You like the roller coaster? The roller coaster, it works for you? Get on the roller coaster.
That's right.
I don't think that there's just one. But when I look back at certain individuals. I've dated some amazing men, right? And I look back at when they're married now, and I'm like, he would have made a great husband had I had the information, the maturity. I kind of did it like, I'll catch the next bus. If this doesn't work, there'll be another one. Like, that's how I treated these, these situations. Just lack of experience. And I was like, oh, there'll always be someone who likes me. But I didn't realize that that kind of thing doesn't come often. That connector, that thing that when you're mad at someone, you still have that thing. That doesn't happen often. And so if you let that bus go by, it may be 5 years for the next bus that you have that thing with, right? So I don't think there was just one, but I do think when I look back that there were some really amazing people that I dated that would have been great spouses.
I won't say they were really amazing people. I say there might have been one that I think with more maturity, like, we could have made it work, but I was just like that hard no at that point. But like, so unfortunately he said he's driving, he can't join us, but he's greeting us from Angola. So I'm just going to be like, nice, all the way from Angola. So so earlier he asked the question about like, what do you do when you feel like you're losing yourself to a relationship? And now it's like, how do you avoid problems when the baby comes? Which I think.
You're talking about literal baby?
Yeah,
I mean,
literal babies.
Literal babies.
Okay.
Okay. Because you had said that. Yeah. Okay.
When the baby comes.
I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
Wow.
You can go down this at first because you have babies, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one that I think everybody would understand this is you just have less time. You don't have time. Like your marriage connection, the connection part of your partnership is really in the back of your mind at that point, because you're thinking about, I gotta get food, I gotta make sure these, whatever, all of those things that you ever thought about your relationship, they definitely go further back in your mind, because that baby takes up every moment of your thoughts. So that's the first thing, is time. It's gone.
Yeah. For me, I would say.
Say again?
Sorry?
Do you stay in the relationship?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No,
Even though
but
you
for
feel like, wait, Janaba, this is a person that said that they were losing themselves in the relationship, though.
yeah. So for example, for me, when a baby comes, it's just about also making time for the wife, because basically she's really tired, and some of the time the guy is expecting the woman to be exactly the same she was before she got pregnant, and but she is tired. So you have to make some room for her to be a woman and not only be a mom. So just like taking over some tasks in the house and maybe taking the baby so she can do her, like going for pampering. And for example, when I got my kids, once a month I was going for pampering and leaving the kids in the house. So that was something that was scheduled. I know I was going every month, and it was really good. I was my me time, and it was like really good for me, had feeling myself as a woman. It was also about having our time together. So as we're telling you, go having restaurants to just the two of us, and also at least once or twice a year going for a weekend, just the two of us as well. No kids, just going for 4 days to a whole week together. And besides, I just wanted to say, for the first 3 months, really, you have to be very patient and communicate a lot and give some time for each of you to rest. So sometimes it's her, she's tired, you just take the baby, let her sleep for a while. And then she wakes up, she takes the baby and you rest, so that you won't be tired at the same time, because it creates anger and frustration.
This is practical advice, guys. I don't know about you, but this is very strategic. This is like, let's get to the nitty gritty. This is what you're supposed to do. This is simple, but I think this is a great advice. Like, be strategic about like how you handle the baby coming, the first months, because that's something that, like, sometimes I feel like you want to support your partner, so you want to be up with them at the same time.
No,
but you have to be strategic.
No,
like, no,
doesn't
don't
work. Because basically you're gonna sit down at the same time, and in the morning you're gonna be both tired. Whereas if one is sleeping and the second one is awake, whenever the second one goes to bed, then the second one can take over. That's easy. That's practical.
I think that even goes in other parts of the relationship too. Because like I remember just kind of studying, doing a history of family, just the development of the family over time in America and history. And before, it was like you have all these kids and all these people because you have your farm and it's only y'all and you need these people. It's very practical, right? But in relationship aspect of that, when it was just the man and the woman, and when there's just the couple, they're getting exhausted as well, because they are now responsible for all of the feeding of that other person. The advantage that we have now, and the way that we have societies now, is not so, in most cases, not so isolated, and there are opportunities to get away if we're intentional about it. And I think even in relationships prior to having children, everybody has to have time to have their space so that they can kind of decompress, they can kind of rejuvenate, they can kind of get ready to come back into the relationship. I think part of finding the one is like Geneva was saying, she found somebody who, when she was like, hey, I need to have time right now, they were cool. They were like, all right, do your thing. Because I remember me when I was really young, like in college, I was real clingy. And I think about that person now and I want to like go smack him in the head. But at that time, I remember like whoever I was dating, if they were like, all right, I'm going to go over here for a bit, I'd be like, why? Where are you going? Like, I thought we were supposed to, and I can imagine for them, that must have been exhausting, Me thinking about me then, I'm exhausting myself now. So, I got to imagine that in relationships, you don't have that space to decompress. It's really going to cause a strain on it. So the baby is the most kind of obvious example of that. But I think even other dynamic interactions in your relationship are also going to cause those stresses and strains. So part of finding the one is finding the person that's going to let you decompress when you need to.
Can I ask to Vasco what he thinks when he said that he doesn't feel like he was losing himself? In which kind of way was he losing himself? Because I really want to know what was the reason he was feeling that way.
I think that I can a little bit empathize with what he's saying, because I felt like I lost myself, because we, both of us, were consumed with this baby, this human, right? And my ex-husband was extremely obsessed with the baby. And I'm a new mom and I'm sleep deprived, and she's only nursing, breastfeeding. And so he would just stress me out, like, give her the breast. And I'm like, and it's cracking, and it's just, it was just and I was just like, wait, I mean, I don't know. And it was just always just the baby. And so I could easily see how one could lose themselves. I definitely think my ex lost himself, because now it became no attention on me whatsoever. It was all about the baby. When I went back to work, I only worked the weekends, and he would be like, she's only going to know me. She's not going to know you because she spends the day with me. So I'm like, forget it. I'm not going to work. I don't want my baby not to know me. So it was really, we lost ourselves.
He's mean.
Oh yeah, very. We never went out. We never did anything as a couple. First of all, the first 3 months, I never left the top floor of my house because I had a C-section and I was ridiculous. I was just like, I can't, I was ridiculous. And so easy, you lose yourself, because the thing is, I think the foundation of everything everyone has said is communication. If that line of communication is not open, where you're like, I'm so tired, I feel like she's sucking the life out of me, oh my gosh, I miss you. If that's not open, if you're not verbalizing these things, it is a wrap, because you don't know when Monday is, you don't know when Friday is, you barely shower, you shower when the baby sleeps, you run in, imagine every 3 hours, every 2.5 hours, you have to feed the baby. Come, remember this? This was
I know.
It's just not, and then you're expected to function at 100% capacity? No, it's very challenging.
And you know what? I'm going to talk about just an example. This, as you said, that makes also my husband, where he's the one, and about elevating you. When I had my baby and I went back to work, I had the nanny I found. She was gone for 2 weeks, and I had someone to take over her, and it was her daughter, but she was a psycho. So. So one day I was there and she started crying, I can't do it. And I always started my job like a month before. So I was like, oh, what am I going to be doing? And I have this kid now and I have to go to work anyway. So I was back home, and I was like, I told my husband, I called my boss, so I'm going to be off the whole those 2 days, but you have to take some days off. And he told me straight away, I cannot take some days off. We're going to find someone else to take over, and it's going to be all fine. And I was so pissed at him. So pissed. I said, yeah, you can't even make some time for our daughter. It's crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I was screaming, blah, and not happy at all. But the thing is, he was very rational in the way he put it. So, I'm not telling you that that there is someone. I'm going to find someone to do it, the right person. You can be here the first day just to make sure that she's fine. You can even work from home. But for me, I can't do it because I have my company and I have to run it. So there's no way I can make some time. And it was very rational. So after being pissed, I realized he was right. We found someone that came over, because the fact is, he found a way of to make it work for both of us. And he made me realize, and he told me also once, I'm taking care of the baby. So you leave me and I'm going to do it my way. So you don't have to interact. It's my way of doing it. So you leave and I do it the way I want to be done. It's my daughter and I will do it in different way, but she will be all fine. And he was right. And I just learned how to do it. And that's also the whole communication thing that made it happen. You see?
Okay, here's Vasco.
And that's the point. I hear what he says, but First of all, how old is the baby? Because if the baby is around less than a year, it's complicated, and I understand what she says because she is tired, and the fact that she's tired is triggering a lot of pressure and frustration. That's why also she reacts differently. Besides, if he works, and I had this discussion with one of my colleagues as well, he has to find some time to make her feel special, like taking her out for dinner, even ordering food and just put it on the table so that she just comes down and just like the dinner is ready on the table and she will feel special. It's only about that. If he works hard, he can order food and just put it on the table. It's fine. I think the fact that she has to take care of the baby and the house and him not being around is difficult to her. She doesn't feel like a woman,
Right.
and like a wife. She only feels like a mom.
A milk machine.
Yeah, So I know that maybe he might be frustrated because whenever he comes back home, she thinks like she complains, but she's tired. Just put the words. She is tired,
Yeah.
and she needs help. That's the key thing. She needs help.
Yeah.
That's
She needs
important.
attention. She needs attention. She needs
Attention and
she needs affirmation. She needs to know she's doing a good job. She needs to know you still see her. She needs to know you still desire her.
Exactly.
Those are the things that will make her turn around.
Exactly.
But if you go with the flow of the baby, we're nurturers. We're women. We're mothers. Once we birth a child, it's natural. I mean, you look at an elephant, you look at any animal, a lioness will kill you for her cub because that's just how we are wired. So instead of having an opinion about the way we're wired, understand how we're wired and then affirm her.
Yeah,
her.
some flowers.
She's doing a great job. Because at the end of the day, your seed would not duplicate and multiply if she didn't carry it. So she's vital.
I know he needs to tell her he loves her and just show her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like Dundi's had to leave, so we're just gonna let him kind of conclude on this, and then we're getting close. We have reached the 2-hour mark, so we won't be long either. But like I would love for like to have like a deeper perspective on this, because this is one thing that we don't talk about enough in our society is this post-birth kind of like depression that some women of like accepting their new body, accepting who they have become, and accepting even being a mother, it's kind of traumatic. So I think, I'll let you conclude, and then we'll get back to the end, the rest of the answer for this question.
Yeah. Okay. I think for me, I'll say two things. I definitely agree with everything about affirming, in terms of the relationship with the baby, because for my wife also, she was very much, I'm going to do all these things. She had the sense of it. She was doing it all. And I was not, especially for like our first kid, I was the worst. I'd be trying to stay up, but I was just knocked out, and it was not good. So I had to get better about that. So part of the affirmation is definitely making sure that you contribute to helping, giving space, giving time where you're taking care of the child. But yeah, it's definitely important for you to make sure that your partner knows their value as themselves, that their value is not connected to the fact that they are the one that has given you a child. We're not in a Charlton Heston 10 Commandments movie. This is not the Spartans where they manage to look the baby, or you only give girls, throw you off the cliff. No, everybody has value in and of themselves. So that's what I would always say. We have to start with. That's why I love when Geneva's like, you have to be your own person, and then the relationship is an added on thing. I really love that, because from the very beginning of the Bible, everybody is pronounced good. Everybody is pronounced valuable. So if that is not the starting point for any relationship that we're having, where it's not a value of the other person as themselves, being simply who they are, we are already going to be kind of heading down a wrong path. We have to begin our relationships by valuing individuals for themselves, who they are. If you're not, you've got to start there. You have to start there. With the concept of what we're talking about, sort of like the whole subject of being the one and whatnot. I very much agree that there's not just one person. It is a partnership where you and God are like, all right, how you want to roll with this? I think if you think that there is one person that's kind of like your mindset of how you're going, then I would really say lean into being patient with that revelation.
Listen,
because if you start to get to this antsiness, then you're going to start to move. You're going to jump out of your lane and start jumping into God's lane and the revelation lane and everybody's lane. You're going to spread yourself all over the freeway,
right.
telling yourself that this is the person and forcing things on it. Forcing has never, I don't think there's ever been a time in the history of the world where forcing was good.
No matter what TikTok says.
Maybe we can have that conversation later, but I don't think it is. And so I would say it's about patience. It is about flexibility and openness. Those would be like my three things to give anybody, whether if you're feeling antsy or if you're on the lookout or any of that stuff. So yeah, I guess I'll conclude with those.
That's good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great points.
This is always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you for your perspective.
Oh yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But but just like for me, also I would just say, just like echoing on what Bandis and Geneva have been saying, it's not about like not being open to evolving. I think what it is more than anything is knowing who you are, what are your core values, and also, you know, what you believe in, and not just jumping from A to B depending on the relationship that you are. And I also do not believe that there is just this one. I used to think that there is just this one soulmate. But what I realized is that when you do that, when it's not working, you force yourself into staying in the relationship, knowing that that's not the right choice. So I think I'm to the point where today I feel like when you find the person that respects and honor and really want to work with you, and you guys realize that like when you put your two destinies together, your two purposes together, and you partner, your purposes, it become like a bigger purpose, and then it still doesn't take away from who you guys are individually. You know what I mean? Like, and so for me, that is extremely important, that you stay who you are and you are able to evolve as an individual and as a couple, while both together, like being like happy and joyful. You know, so for me, that's extremely important, like to find if the person that you are dating right now is he or she the one. You know, like who are you around that person? You know, who are you around that person? That's one of the questions that I ask myself. Like, are you like this person that is like not fully themselves, and you feel like you have to become another person? You have to hide some part of you. You have to do things a certain way, or can you
your authentic self?
Can you openly have conversation about everything and anything without feeling judged? For me, that's important.
That's
like criteria, you know. And coming back to what Vasco is saying, for me, communication is important, and I think everybody talked about it. But there is also a part of like women that even us as women, we're still learning every day. It doesn't matter how old we are. So as we evolve into our womanhood, especially, I'm not a mother, but like I've seen friends, you know, and I've seen people around me go through different phases, especially after having a children. And like there is something that a lot of people don't realize, is that having a baby as a woman, as much as we all want to have a woman, is a traumatic event. Your body changes, your hormones changes. So many things happen to your body. And it's important to have a partner that does understand the science behind being a mother. And actually understand how you feel and ask you the right questions, and don't just go based on judgment. So I see that you said that these were great points that we shared with you that you were going to try, but more than trying, I would say do it. You know?
I would say it's more like about not understanding, about just listening. It's more about that, because we can't just like have them to understand. It's very complicated. Even me, I didn't understand all I was going through, to be fair. So
Exactly.
just about listening, because I cried because my husband told me maybe we should like stop the breastfeeding. I cried over it. Girl, I was like, no, I don't want it. I want to continue. And that was crazy. It was just that didn't make any sense. But he heard it and he just like, okay, so here we go. And at the point, at some point I think when we had this baby, you need someone to be supportive.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to handle some stuff. You just need someone that can be supportive and help you. Just like if you fail, okay, it's fine. We're going to do it differently. It's going to work out. That's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
There's like somebody who will learn with you as you both go through it, right?
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is Annie. Hi, Annie. Let us know where you're joining us from. Clearly from the United States, but like I won't say that the US is first. Like I would just say that there is a social phenomena going on around the world where people find themselves 40 plus and being single. If you have not watched our very, very first talk and conversation, it was about being 40 and single. You'll find it somewhere down on this page. I invite, like honestly, to go and watch that conversation and hopefully find some insight about why there are so many single ladies or even men nowadays, 40 plus. But I don't think it's a curse. I just think that it's a mindset. We just have to change our perspective on what singleness is. And not let society let us know about being single is a wrong thing. Talking about church, if you look at in the Bible, there are so many characters that were single, starting with the very, 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 very amazing example of Jesus. So being single is not a sickness. So if you put that in perspective, so having so many single people is not a curse. And at the same time, the other thing is like most of the women that are accomplished can be scary to some men, or even sometimes can be too aggressive for some men. It's all a matter of perspective and finding like the right, I won't say dosage, but like finding the balance between who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to become in order to have what God has for you. So I think it's extremely important not to take it as an offense to be single. But to look at like a little bit deeper, okay, why am I still single? Like, why didn't work? And get some work done from within first. And then and then the second talk was about what love is.
Can I
finding
something? Because now that I'm like, I've watched a lot of things around in the US because I don't live in the US. I'm sorry. I'm living here in France. My sister, she lives in the US. And to be talking about the way also what Annie said about the singleness also maybe in the US, I think from a European perspective, when I watch sometimes the show, and I think that one of the main criteria that you guys sometimes have in it is really material. So, and I feel less like that here. And I think that's something that makes it complicated to find the right one. Because you're focusing on things that are not really, for example, finding someone that is like in a good situation economically or financially is like really maybe graded in the very bottom. And whereas I think when I look at the shows and all the talks and I'm listening about US, it's really very, very important. I don't know, it's my takeover, but maybe I was wrong. And I think that's something that does not help into finding the right person.
Right. I was going to say, I think culture plays a big role in some of the programming and the shows that in the US of how women are portrayed. Well, not just say women, but just singles, and sometimes singles of color are portrayed. Like I remember having discussions with people from even when Carlita and I first started talking, we would talk about shows and I was like, well, no, that's not always how it is. It just kind of looks like that because of the show. But I think that the difference is that it is material based. I believe that. I feel like there's a superficial value to some of the stuff that's on TV now. I mean, maybe it's evolved over time, but like, yeah, they highlight particular things. And if you get caught in that hype, and that's, you're not doing your own self, your own introspection, your own really like, what do I want out of life? What do I want out of relationships? It'll form your beliefs. It'll form your thoughts about what this is how it should be. And that's not necessarily reality, especially in reality shows. Don't even get me started. Like, that's something that I have to like avoid. I'm like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap up is 2 hours, 50 minutes in, like with your conclusions on the one.
Awesome.
Who wanna start?
I can go.
Go, Nelly.
Yeah, I think it was a very interesting conversation. I think I learned a lot of different perspectives. I think the thing that stood out to me the most was the fact that, I think I put it out in the beginning. We get like fed this like Hallmark Lifetime channel. This is like what it's supposed to be. And that's not really the reality of it. From Dondi's perspective to Louis, there is a realness that comes in having these discussions and really getting to know someone. And then the other part about it is there isn't a one, you know what I mean? There isn't this like singular, this is the person, and if this doesn't work, I'm just going to be a nun and live with my cats the rest of my life. Like, that's just not the way it's supposed to work. And I feel like that's how society is making it to be. But I think that the key takeaways is be your authentic self, be real with yourself, and prepare yourself for this process of evolvement, even after you've met, said person. But know that it's going to take time. It's going to take effort, but it doesn't mean that it automatically, this is the one person that I'm going to be with, and this is whatever it may be. The friendship element too was a big thing for me. Like, make sure that you guys are friends and you know each other, and not necessarily the other one, be not so concerned with the time. That was a big one, because that's the thing that everybody's over here like, oh no, the time. Whether it's 3, 6, 9 months, 11 months, whatever it may be, the time, it's about quality versus quantity, I think. So I think.
How about 2 months? How about 2 or 3 months?
My husband, he asked me to marry him, and it was a joke after 2 months, and I thought it was a joke.
Really?
Yeah. And I saw it was a joke.
It's about the time you spend with each other.
And I joked about it, and then I joked about it, and then 9 months after, he asked me again, but more formally, and it was the right one.
Well, maybe he knew.
How about the ones who waited too long and they lost it? Like, they knew it was the one, and then they waited too long to propose, and she was like, you know what, 10 years is too much, I'm leaving.
No, the only thing is like what Dominic said is like about the time whenever you can have several wants. And if you wait maybe 10 years, then she moved into a different one. She didn't want you. She wants someone different, because you were not the one that was meeting her expectation at the time. So you were for 10 years, you didn't catch it, and then there we go. Because the thing is, like, and the fact is about the marriage, because people like now say marriage doesn't mean a thing, but for me it does mean something, because when you get married, you try to make it work harder. If it's just about walking down the street and find someone else, it's fine. But when you have kids and you get married and stuff like that, you not stuck, but you're trying to make it work. And that's a whole difference. If you didn't lock it within 10 years and then the person moves on and like, she's still on the market though.
I think for me, I think that everyone is going to have their own story. We've got to get away from this ideal story. Everybody's going to have their own story. Everybody's going to have their own path, their own race, their own, journey. And so the length of time is going to be your own. I have a friend who met someone on Facebook. He's in Africa. He's here in the United States. And of course, it looked like, oh, he just wants something. He wants papers. He wants this. but it's a genuine love story, right? And if she allowed the noise and the all the, she wouldn't have this beautiful love story. You know what I mean? And I think everybody has a different story. I do. I
This on the top of what you said, I have my aunt, my uncle. He met my auntie. My uncle is the one from my family, but he got married to my auntie, and they met on the beach in Senegal. She was French. She was on holiday. And they met on the beach in Senegal. He came back. They had 2 kids. They got a divorce after like 15 years of marriage. So that's a long time. So, but they have 2 kids, and they are still friends. And she's one of my favorite auntie now, even though they got a divorce. And I live just like, she's like the godmother of my daughter. So, some stories, and about something like about having faith in someone. So I think, to my point of view, they were meant to be together, even though it didn't last their whole life. But it was for a whole purpose.
Yeah.
But because now she's a part of my life and my kids' life.
Yeah. Right. That's a great point. Ignore the noise.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to, because you have to feel it's about your guts.
That's awesome.
Junior, welcome back. We are doing the conclusions. We're doing the conclusions. So, do you want to conclude? And then we're gonna move to
takeaway.
Yeah, actually,
because we still have Dominique and Jane up for conclusion, right?
Yeah, actually, I want to ask you guys an advice, because what you guys will say to a young woman in her 20s who is looking for the one, right? But she keeps like involving herself in a destructive relationship, and like, what advice would like to give her? Because I mean, she's my friend, she's my friend. I'm trying to help her, but I'm not a woman, so I can try to do the best I can, but it's not easy. It's not easy, and I'm trying to, I'm telling her the same story. I mean, what I mean about the same story, you gotta take time to know yourself, things like that. But deep down, like, she's probably asking herself, okay, you telling me, oh, take time to know myself, but how I do it?
Is she unhappy?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I would say, literally, on your 20s, you're not looking for different things but you are on your 30s, or even on your right. So for me, it's more about, like, first, like, having a piece of understanding of who she is. She would not fully know who she is in her 20s, but like having a piece of understanding of who she is and what are her core values, right? Mainly at that age, you're getting from family values. What is it that your family taught you that you want to do and you don't want to let go? Like the values of respect, like honor, and somebody that can listen to you, and somebody that you can still be yourself with, at 20, but like still be your 20 self with, I would say, if you know that the other relationship that you are in are not what you want in your heart, don't force yourself to be in a relationship that you don't want to be in. So it's not about exactly. And I did those mistakes, and it came from a place of being wounded, not being loved enough, not being told that I was worth it and valuable. So I was looking for all those words in different relationships, jumping from a relationship to another relationship, without taking the time to heal or to even understand why I had to be validated by other people or by being in a relationship. So I think it comes first from a place of, like, trying to do the work to heal and to understand why she feels like she has to be in a relationship where she knows that person is not the one that she want to be with. And maybe with being alone for a season.
Okay,
she might need to read.
Forget to mention something real quick. Is that she didn't grow up with her father. No, this is bad. She didn't. Yeah.
Well, that explains something.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
She's looking for the affirmation.
Yeah, so she needs to read, I think, about self-consciousness.
Mm.
I think also, I don't know whether she's Christian or
Yeah,
Muslim or
Christian. Yeah, that
anything.
was my next question.
Yeah. So I think if she is Christian, she also should read the Bible, because basically, I do believe in God. And
Mm.
so sometimes I know it makes me feel in a mindset where I'm more peaceful just to read the text.
Yeah.
So reading every night or whenever she's anxious just like makes her feel better. And that's very helpful.
Okay.
So every night when before going to bed, like reading one page, another, and just like going into it, and it's gonna make her feel peaceful. She's gonna value herself, and also go into counseling, just to talk about her issues with her dad,
Yeah, that's
That's
because she needs
important.
to solve it.
Therapy is
That's
underrated.
yeah,
therapy.
it's needed.
Okay.
Either
Okay.
therapy or how they call it again, hypnotherapy also works.
Mm.
Yeah.
A
I
friend of
mean,
mine did it.
I did it. Honestly, I did it and it changed my life. Like therapy, but also like having a spiritual coach was like a self-development coach, but like who was like from my belief, you know, somebody that was like Christian that I trusted, because you can have Christian people that you don't trust. But I think
Right.
like somebody that you can trust as a spiritual coach that will help you understand the spirits behind abandonment, the spirits behind,
Mm-hmm.
lacking love, and all those things is extremely important, because then when you
Right.
see, you can recognize it. But
You
if
can
you don't
recognize it, right?
work, you will just keep going from a relationship to a relationship and repeating the cycle.
Yeah, and it's very
Facts.
important for her to know what she worth. Very,
Okay.
very important.
Yeah. I mean, talking
Best to
about this,
yourself.
I mean, do you
And
guys are willing to? I mean, do you guys are like psychologists, or I mean, do you guys doing something related to this? I mean,
No, but it's like you're
You
living it.
lived.
Yeah, because I have friends around personally, and I had a friend.
Yeah.
She's struggling with the same issue, and she's still single, and she had like very bad experience because when she was young, her dad didn't want her. He wanted a boy, and told her straight, "I wanted a boy. I didn't want you." And so now she is 43, still single. Her longest relationship was 3 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah, and
That's
she feels
yeah.
so bad, and she can't even talk about it. We had a whole tried to talk to her about how she should handle it, and it was so
Wow.
wrong. And she has gone to therapy, didn't work as well, and she went into hypnotherapy. And she said that she cried for hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
therapy
like
is
deeply
definitely
rooted.
underrated. Like honestly, even like therapy is underrated. Like therapy works when you find the right counselor that can help you out
Right.
with your issues. But you also have to be willing,
But yep, that's what I was gonna say.
you know, to seek for
Be
help.
open to
You
it.
have to humble yourself to seek for help, because that's something that we often don't do because we think we have all the solutions. So it's extremely important to get the help that you need. And it's not like you have psychiatric or whatever, but I think like Dominique is actually a doctor. I'm
Mm-hmm.
at least not yet, but I'm extremely passionate about psychology and
Yeah.
sociology. Those
Me as
things,
well.
yeah.
And I was a mental health counselor for many years. So I'm like, I've seen this and I've experienced it, gone through it myself. I've seen it in other people. So you know the signs and the behaviors of, things that have happened in your life that you haven't addressed and how it manifests into other areas. So it's, just from what you're saying, what I mean, from your explanation, this is what it kind of sounds like. But hopefully, invite her on to come in and listen.
Yes.
You never know, so healing from the conversations.
yeah,
You
sure.
know?
Yeah. Dominique, you are I
I'm
mean,
a
you are
pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist,
okay.
but I'm also a Christian, and I've
Okay.
done extensive study in spiritual warfare and
Okay.
demonology. And so the foundation of the spirit of rejection, the spirit of abandonment, I understand a lot about, having a hole in your soul in the shape of your dad. And
Okay.
that's what's happening to
It's
her.
powerful.
A hole in her soul in the
Yeah.
shape of her
Shape
father.
of your dad.
And
That's
so
good.
if she doesn't fill that hole, it will not end well for her. And
Mm-mm.
you know, it's
It
very
could be the same thing happening in her 30s and 40s.
yeah, it's very
If not
important
worse.
that she gets some help. You know, you can send her my this is my IG. Send her to my inbox, and I'll have a conversation with her for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Email. I mean, do you have an email?
That's my Instagram.
Okay.
Are you
Okay.
on Instagram? Yeah, that's my Instagram name. So just write it down and then have her send me a note on Instagram.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Mondays is done. We're wrapping. He's like,
He's like, are we
we're done.
I thought he was leaving earlier.
I know. Me
yeah,
too.
me too. I was like, oh, the conversation was too good. He couldn't do it.
No, I'm being supportive. I'm practicing and modeling,
Look
and
at you.
we're
So
making
great.
it happen. We're making it happen.
That is
Okay.
so amazing, guys. Jennifer, did you do your conclusion?
Not yet.
Okay, go ahead. Let's do that.
Okay.
I'll let you conclude. Actually, I'm not going to conclude because I feel like I already did my conclusion. So, Jennifer, you're the one who's concluding today. After you, we're just going to say bye to everybody and see them next week.
Okay. So for me, going back to the one, and I do agree with what Dominic said. According to the time period and where we are sitting in our life, there can be different ones. And according to what we're seeking for also, there is the one. So friendship for me was crucial. And that's what also you said, knowledge. Because having fun is very important in your relationship. And that's what's going to be lasting. And whenever you don't have anything to eat or you have drama, if that person makes you laugh, it's going to last forever. That's very nice.
Yeah, the laughing.
That's how you get the support also. And I like what makes me feel that I found the one that was supposed to be for me for this time period right for me was the fact my home is the way I dreamed about. You know, I try to be like something that it's an easy life, like no struggle, no burden. It's supposed to be a nice flow. Whenever there is a bump, we work it out together. You know, you can't just and normally my aim also is not each other's to be burdened, to create those issues. They might be coming from outside and we should be ready just to fight them together. That's what I'm looking for into that person. Because it should not be the two of you fighting, because whenever something comes from the outside, you won't be ready to fight it. You have to be strong together and ready to fight what's going to come from the outside. That's very important. So that's what I wanted to
So good.
Yay,
Good.
that was good.
We got some nuggets in here, y'all.
Oh, my brain is still trying to catch up with that stuff.
Wow. I'm like, we can go back and rewatch this. I'm like, yes.
Thank you guys, as usual, for being part of these conversations. And, you know, this will not be the same without you guys. Hopefully, if you guys are watching this or watching the replay, we hope that this has gave you some great insight on if he or she was the one that, you know, you've had fun, you know, watching the conversation or rewatching.
And joining. Thank you, Junior.
Thank you, Junior. Thank you also, Vasco. And I hope he gets to find the answer he needed.
Yes. Definitely. Oh, there's Vasco.
You know, being open and transparent and sharing and allowing us to add our, you know, grain of salt into whatever is going on in your situation. We pray that, you know, you'll find a resolve, and that the Lord will give you both, you know, the wisdom to listen and understand each other, you know, in a crucial phase for a couple, such as like having a baby. So we hope that whoever is watching, if you like it, leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. You know, put a like, share. You know, don't be stingy. If you feel like this is gonna help share. Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you guys for being part of this, and then see you next week if you are French speaking, and then in 2 weeks if you are English speaking. I think in 2 weeks, what are we talking about in 2 weeks? Is marriage for everybody? Something along those lines.
Something along that line. I think we're still on that relationship tip.
Yeah. Like, because
It's going to be an interesting conversation.
February relationship series
That's
on
going to
like
be a very interesting conversation.
how to get married. Like I look forward to that. Like is marriage a thing for everybody? I think that would be a great conversation to have. See you guys and
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.